Archie's Funhouse is an animated television series produced by Filmation that aired on the CBS network from 1970 to 1971. This basically took the Archie gang and placed them as the hosts of a musical comedy variety show. Skits, jokes, and pop songs were all shown as performed by the animated cast in front of a live-action children's audience, some of whom squealed with delight, and others who seemed excruciatingly uninterested.
You know why they call him Arch? Huh? Are you ready? Because he needs a lot of support. Get it?
Following the success of the Archie Show in 1969, there came the Archie Comedy Hour, which kicked off with the TV special Archie and His New Pals. This special introduced the characters Big Moose and Sabrina the Teenage Witch to the series in the middle of a heated race for class president between Reggie Mantle and the newly introduced Moose Mason.
Brother! With Reggie making phony promises, we're as good as wiped out.
Being president isn't just taking, it's giving.
The Little Archies, who would first appear within the pages of Little Archies #1 in the year 1956, would also get their own animated segments as part of the Archie Comedy Hour. In these segments, the main cast were children of elementary school age rather than the pop band made up of teen adults. The Little Archies were analogs to other youthful versions of popular adult characters, such as Superboy before them, or following their creation, the Muppet Babies. The comic series was quite popular and lasted all the way to issue 180, but by 1983, all good things would come to an end.
Reginald, you may have this comic book back at the end of this semester.
Why? Is it going to take you that long to read it? Hi, gang! Welcome to the Funhouse, where anything can happen!
The format of the Archie Comedy Hour would feature 1/2 hour of new Archie content that featured Funhouse and sideshow segments that would eventually lead to the Archie's Funhouse series. The book-ending Sabrina episodes, of course, featured all the comedic hijinks that comes with being a teenage witch in the town of Riverdale, along with her role in teaching magic tricks and brief segments for the variety show aspect of the series, but I'll save more talk for the teenage witch when we get to Sabrina's own series later down the road.
Welcome to Archie's Funhouse! Featuring the giant jukebox.
With Archie as the featured host, much like Kermit the Frog on The Muppet Show, Archie's Funhouse would have its very own unique segments, such as the giant jukebox, where hit songs from the Archies were performed. Certain songs were played quite repetitively and made me think that this show must be what like MTV was to kids of my generation. At the very least, the same songs being repeated in episodes with otherwise original content made it feel just like a song the radio or MTV would be pushing 24/7 anyway. Sometimes the music can definitely come off as preachy, dealing with issues like racial tolerance and the pollution of the environment, but I have to admit the bubblegum pop aspect will stick the sermon in your head whether you like it or not.
Mr. Factory, don't you care? Soon the children won't have any air.
There were also Thunderbolt theaters,
Quick, drippy gas!
which often involve pies and water spritzers in the face.
Give me an example.
Gladly.
Which of course this reminded me of the gags on the Nickelodeon series, You Can't Do That on Television.
I don't know. See, simple.
Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. You know what's dumb spelled backwards? Mud. Yay! What?
I tend to think of the character Big Moose as the great-granddaddy of the big, dumb, brawny, strong guy types that would become the staples of many Marvel and Image team books. Not exactly the brightest bulb up there in the noggin, but his heart is always in the right place.
Darn this elevator! It looks like we're gonna have to take the stairs.
Oh, okay. Where do we take him to, Arch?
Oh.
So along with Marmaduke Moose Mason, who first appears in Archie's pal Jughead #1, we are also introduced to the gang's gym instructor, Coach Cleats, who first appears within the pages of Pep Comics 24 in the year 1942.
Big Ethel here.
And the awkward-looking Big Ethel, who made a practice of chasing after Jughead Jones in very Wile E. Coyote-inspired segments. Makes you think that Big Ethel probably had her own account at the Acme Corporation as well. Big Ethel first appears inside Archie's pal Jughead, issue number 84 in May of 1962.
Come to me, my precious. Oh, Jughead, aren't you interested in girls?
Sure. Do you know any?
While not exactly the ideal woman for Jughead, you have to admire her spunk. And then again, turnaround becomes fair play when Big Ethel comes back to Riverdale as a supermodel in the 1990s television movie To Riverdale and Back Again.
Hi.
And you must be Jughead Jr.
That's me, Jughead Jr.
You're handsome, just like your father. Well, come on. I was just getting in the jacuzzi. Come on.
Jacuzzi.
Speaking of supermodel good looks, Big Ethel would also try to snag Jughead on this series by dressing herself up to look like Batman temptress Catwoman. Believe it or not, I could think of worse casting choices for Catwoman than Big Ethel. Aside from Big Ethel posing as Catwoman, the Archie gang as superheroes isn't as out of place as you might think. In fact, had Filmation's rights to the Archie characters been retained into the 1980s, you may have even seen them on television. What would have been Archie's Super Teens instead was redeveloped as the series called Hero High. Many of the characters in this Filmation series were analogs to the Archie characters as teen superheroes. Pureheart the Powerful, who first appears inside the pages of Life with Archie issue 42 in October of 1965, or Captain Pureheart, as he was later called, was altered to Captain California. While Pureheart had his pH factor that granted him super strength, flight, and invulnerability, Captain California flew around on a sentient surfboard called Wipeout, and his super shine smile could stop most baddies in their tracks. Then you'd have Evil Heart, who is secretly Archie's rival, Reggie Mantle, who shows up within Life with Archie, issue number 48. Evil Heart was more like the character Rex Ruthless on Hero High, who uses an array of gadgetry to supplement superpowers. Veronica's Miss Vanity, who first appears by 1996 in Archie's Super Teens issue number 4, is akin to the character Dirty Trixie, who also has her own arsenal of gadgets. By issue 50 of Life with Archie, Captain Jughead first appears, joining Pureheart and Super Teen to form the group the United Three. Captain Jughead was most similar to the character Punk Rock on Hero High with his supersonic guitar. Hero High's Glorious Gal, who had the abilities of flight, super strength, and telepathy, was reminiscent of Betty Cooper's Super Teen character, who became a superhero that same month as Archie inside the pages of Betty and Veronica issue 118. What always cracked me up is that the minute Betty Cooper gets the powers of Supergirl, all she can think to do is beat up Veronica so she can get with Archie.
I wind up the Veronica doll, and then the Betty doll. And then what happens? They fight over the Archie doll.
Another segment on the television series would also showcase just how nuts Betty Cooper really is. Betty's Diary is a humorous look at the world through the eyes of Betty and just how twisted people tend to make interactions through their very warped interpretations. Not only is Betty hopelessly lovesick for Archie, but every encounter is an exaggerated exploit where I suppose the humor comes from her maintaining a positive outlook regardless of the negative actuality of the interaction.
Sometimes Betty gives me the creeps.
Betty's Diary was popular enough to secure its very own title that was launched in April of 1986 and lasted until issue 40 by the year 1990.
Do you have trouble making up your mind?
Well, yes
Wow!
And of course, there were plenty of ridiculous puns that resulted in what I like to call the anime flop.
Master, will I be able to read sheet music with these glasses?
Yes, of course.
That's funny. I never could before.
Time's nearly up. How far are you from the correct answers?
About 2 seats.
Fire at will!
Won't Will get mad?
These quick, one-liner gags must have been inspired by the pages of Archie's Joke Book magazine, which began in the year 1953. Gags of the same nature of the television series, but done in a comic strip format with a punchline at the conclusion of the strip.
Science sure has made magnificent strides!
Yes, now it's only 50 years behind comic books.
This series continues in the same animation style as the previous series, but doesn't really add too much to the series itself. I have to admit I enjoyed the more cohesive nature of the Archie Show that actually had more plot and story than most of the random cutscene gags and music videos of Archie's Funhouse. I don't really think these episodes were meant to be watched standalone in half-hour installments as presented on these DVDs. I suppose if I had watched these when they originally aired, maybe alongside reruns of The Archie Show or Sabrina the Teenage Witch, making up the complete hour of programming, it wouldn't be as noticeable, but from my point of view, while they are okay cartoons, it's pretty obvious they don't exactly hold up by themselves and would be kind of annoying to watch if you hadn't seen The Archie Show.
Well, it looks like we both got the bird that time, eh, Miss Grundy?
Amsterdam. I have a brother in Kokomo. I have a brother everywhere I go. We're one big family and our daddy's in the sky. Just one big family, don't you make your brother cry. We're one big family and our daddy's in the sky. Just one big family, don't you make your brother cry. I saw my brother in a jam, I gave him a helping hand. And though I never knew his name, I'm his brother just the same. We're one big family and our daddy's in the sky. Just one big family, don't you make your brother cry. We're one big family and our daddy's in the sky. Just one big family, don't you make your brother cry. We're one big family and our daddy's in the sky. Just one big family, don't you make your brother cry. We're one big family and our daddy's in the sky. Just one big family, don't you make your brother cry. One big family and our daddy's in the sky. Just one